Saving Seeds and Plant Reproduction. This presentation was prepared by Brandy Pethel, Jackson County Master Gardener Extension Volunteer. At UGA Extension, our mission is to extend lifelong learning to Georgia citizens through unbiased, research-based education in agriculture, the environment, communities, youth, and families. UGA Cooperative Extension is a collaboration between Georgia County governments, the USDA, and the University of Georgia's Colleges of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences and Family and Consumer Sciences. The mission of the Master Gardener Extension Volunteer Program is to assist Cooperative Extension by training Master Gardener Extension volunteers to provide unbiased horticultural information to Georgians through volunteer community service and educational gardening projects using applied research and the resources of the University of Georgia. There are many reasons why to save seeds. Some save seeds to save money, preserve genetic diversity, flavor, to connect with your garden, to protect pollinators, to build community, to grow your own food, to learn something new. What's important is for you to find out what is your why. In this presentation, we will discuss the types of plants, including life cycles, flowers and pollination, and seed types. We'll also cover seed harvest and storage, plant names, and some additional resources. Types of plants based on their life cycles: annuals, biennials, and perennials. Annuals complete their life cycle, that is, they produce seed and then die, within one growing season. Most of the garden fruits and vegetables are annuals: lettuce, beans, peas, squash, and radishes. Annuals, again completing their life cycle in 1 year, germinate, grow, flower, produce seeds, and then die. Biennials complete their life cycle, again producing seed and then dying, within 2 growing seasons. Flowers are typically initiated with short days of winter. Many garden fruits and vegetables are biennials: cabbage, onions, leeks, beets, parsley, and carrots. Biennials completing their life cycle in 2 years germinate, grow, then enter a dormant phase, where they then grow, flower, produce seeds, and then death. Perennials complete their life cycle, that is, producing seed in a dormant phase, and this life cycle is repeated over many growing seasons, usually more than 3 years. Many garden fruits and vegetables are also perennials. Many herbs, many fruit-bearing trees, berries, and asparagus are some examples. Perennials completing their life cycle in more than 3 years germinate, grow, flower, produce seeds, and then go through a dormant cycle, which is then repeated year after year. Now we move on to flowers and pollination. The first type of flower is the self-pollinating flower. These are considered perfect flowers containing male and female parts in the same flower. The flower structure itself discourages pollen from other plants. Here is a crosscut of a self-pollinating flower. You can see the stigma, which receives the pollen, is very close to the anthers, which are producing pollen grains containing the male gametes. The pollen on the anthers is very easily transferred to the stigma without assistance from wind or insects. Cross-pollinating flowers. These types of flowers encourage pollination by other plants, by wind, or by insects. These flowers can be monoecious, that is, separate male and female flowers on the same plant, as is shown by the squash flowers in the photo. The flower with the narrow stem is the male flower, and the flower on the right that appears to have a small squash beneath the bloom is the female flower. Flowers can also be dioecious, meaning they have separate male and female plants. In a cross-pollinating flower, pollen from stamens sticks to a bee as it visits a flower to collect food. The bee travels to another plant of the same type, and pollen on the bee sticks to a pistil of a flower of the other plant. Plants pollinated by wind occurs in much the same fashion, except the pollen is actually carried by the wind. Why does it matter? If a plant is not self-pollinating, it is susceptible to cross-pollination. For example, if two varieties of squash bloom near each other, the resulting seed in the fruit is likely to be a cross between the two. Some plants will even cross with wild varieties, for example, carrots and Queen Anne's lace. Be sure to refer to the isolation guidelines that are found in the packet when you checked out your seed. With the exception of self-pollinators, only grow one variety of plant from which you want to save seed that season. Cross-pollinating plants can be hand-pollinated. First, you have to prevent the bee from entering the flower by closing the blossom shortly after it opens. Pluck the male flower, open the female flower, and touch the pollen to the center of the female flower. You will then need to close the female flower to prevent further insects or wind from carrying pollen to the flower. Tag the blossom, and then grow it to maturity to harvest seed. The Jefferson Seed Library has developed a method to label seed-saving ability. Seeds with the green star and the word easy are considered easy seed-saving seeds. These tend to be self-pollinated plants. Most are in the Fabaceae family, such as beans and peas. The Asteraceae family, lettuce, endive, chicory, and radicchio. And the Solanaceae family, like tomatoes. It is possible for tomato heirlooms to cross-pollinate at a high frequency, so you may need to refer to the isolation guidelines included with your seeds. For the most part, self-pollinated plants' pollen tends to not travel far, that is, less than 20 feet. Again, refer to the isolation guidelines listed in your seed packet. Plants that are cross-pollinated by wind are more difficult to seed save and are listed as a medium yellow star. Seeds of the Gramineae family, that's the grasses, including corn. The Amaranthaceae family, including beets, Swiss chard, and spinach. Also note that beets are biennial, meaning you will need to wait 2 years in order to harvest seeds. The pollen from plants cross-pollinated by wind can travel 1 to 3 miles. So again, be sure to refer to the isolation guidelines in your seed packet. The highest difficulty of seeds is a red star. These seeds are cross-pollinated by insects. They include asparagus, Amaryllidaceae family, Apiaceae family, Brassicaceae family, Cucurbitaceae family, and the Solanaceae family. The pollen from these plants can also travel 1 to 2 miles. Be sure to refer to the isolation guidelines included in your seed packet. We will now discuss seed types: open-pollinated, heirlooms, hybrid, GMO, or GE. Open-pollinated plants are safe for seed saving. These are self-pollinating plants that produce seeds that will grow out to have most of the same characteristics as the parent, or they are cross-pollinating plants with proper isolation which produce seeds that will grow out to have most of the same characteristics. Open-pollinated cultivars will usually produce offspring that are very close to the parent plants, provided the parents were kept separated from other varieties. Isolation is especially important with cross-pollinated crops. Heirlooms are a special type of open-pollinated plant that is also safe for seed saving. These plants typically have some history behind them. Their traits are usually passed from plant generation to generation. They are sometimes called an old-fashioned variety. They tend to be less disease-resistant, but more flavorful. Isolation is still important in the case of heirlooms, so refer to the isolation guidelines provided you in your seed packet. Hybrid, or F1 plants, are not for seed saving. This is a plant cultivar that is achieved by crossing two related but different plants. Seeds saved from hybrids will not reproduce true to type in the second generation. These seeds are also usually owned or patented and have strict rules about seed saving. An example of a hybrid tomato is the Better Boy hybrid VFN. This plant is resistant to verticillium wilt, fusarium wilt, and nematodes, but its seeds will not produce Better Boy hybrid tomatoes. It's likely to produce tomatoes from its parents. GMO or GE seeds are also not for seed saving. GMO stands for genetically modified organism, and it's an organism or microorganism whose genetic material has been altered by means of genetic engineering, or GE. There are no GMO seeds available for the home gardener. Farmers can buy GMO corn and soybeans, for example, to raise on a farm, but with that purchase is usually a contract agreement with information about how to grow, care for, and harvest the seeds. GMO or GE seeds are not available in the market for the home gardener. Seed growth, harvest, and storage. If you've never saved seeds before, rate yourself as a beginner seed saver and only check out beginner seeds. These seeds are generally self-pollinated plants and require little effort to harvest. Some examples include pea and lavender. If you've saved seeds before and know how to do a little extra work to prevent cross-pollination, rate yourself medium. You may check out beginner or medium seeds. Some examples of these are lettuce and parsley. If you have extensive experience saving seeds using specialized techniques such as hand pollination, tenting, and other methods to ensure varietal purity, for example, if you've saved true to type melons and squash, rate yourself difficult. You can check out any level of seeds. Some examples include sweet pepper. Now that you know what level seeds you can check out, what growing level are you? These labels are a guide to help you know how difficult the seeds are to grow. Combine them to make your decision. Easy to save and easy to grow are seeds like peas. Medium difficulty to save, but easy to grow are seeds like lettuce. Easy to save seeds, but difficult to grow are seeds like lavender seeds. Refer to the handout on the seeds you selected or the label if you bought commercially produced seeds. Other sources to help you for growing seeds include books, the UGA Extension website, extension.uga.edu, or you can email me, Jackson County GA Master Gardener, @gmail.com. Now you want to pick your plants to save seeds from. You want to select tasty, healthy plants to go to seed. In the image, you would select seeds from the plant on the left, not the squash plant on the right. You also want to keep records. Where did you get your seeds? Did you prevent cross-pollination? What day did you harvest them? For seed harvest, you want to refer to the handout for recommendations on harvesting seeds. Some are as easy to harvest as tying an organza bag to the spent flower or shaking a flower head over a paper bag. Some are more difficult and may require drying or straining the fruit and removing the seeds. Please store seeds in paper bags or folded bags. Here you'll find a link on how to make your own origami seed packet. This allows air to flow through and prevent fungus from growing and the seeds from getting too moist and sprouting. Always be sure to dry your seeds properly before storing them in whatever method you choose. And always refer to the handout for any special notes on storing certain seeds. Turning in seed. Fill out the form and bring your saved seed into the library to be available for checkout at the next growing season. If you are unable to save seed from this growing season, please purchase a packet of seeds of the same or similar variety to turn it into the library so that we will have seeds for seasons to come. The last part of the presentation will be on plant names. Plant families define the basic form of the flower parts of plants. All plants with the same flower and reproductive structure are in the same family. Solanaceae, Brassicaceae, Asteraceae, Roseaceae are some examples. A common name is like a nickname. It is more casually used, but it can be confusing. For example, a plant called tulip tree. This is the African tulip tree. This is the tulip poplar, but also called tulip tree. And this is a tulip magnolia, which is also called a tulip tree. The scientific name includes the genus and species, with the genus capitalized, the species name not capitalized, and both in italics. Genus is similar to a person's surname and defines more closely related plants. Crosses between genera are rare but can occur. The species defines specific botanically recognized plants with similar fruit, flowers, and leaves. This information is particularly important to know with seed saving because plants within one species will readily cross with each other. Varieties are intentional or natural crosses within a species and can come true to seed. Plant breeders intentionally create varieties for specific flavors, colors, size, shape, etc. In seed saving, the intent is usually to save the integrity of a specific variety by ensuring that two different varieties of the same species do not cross with each other. When seed saving, be sure they are open-pollinated and maintain isolation recommendations per your handout. An example of a species that has many varieties is Brassica oleracea. As you can see, this species was selected and bred to create varieties such as cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, kale, broccoli, and cauliflower. All of these plants are the same species, Brassica oleracea, and can cross-pollinate with each other. Be sure to refer to isolation guidelines on the handout when you check out these kinds of seeds. That concludes the presentation. If you have further questions, be sure to check the Extension website, extension.uga.edu, or call 1-800-ASK-UGA1 to get connected to your local Extension office.